Hello, everyone. My name's Hank Sutala,
And I'm Casey McBride.
and we're here with another fun episode of Stir Crazy Shamans. Hello, and thank you, everyone, for joining us. I know we missed a couple days, and we were thinking about it. We're like, man, we haven't missed a day like the entire pandemic, and then like two times in a week. So we're so grateful that we are here, and that you're here, and that everyone's showing up for this ever-present moment of now.
Yes, and I just noticed. So these are we got these hucha picha irunis. They're stones that we use in shamanism to they suck up heaviness from people. We can also use them to like cut cords and things. And I just noticed I was showing Hank this one was broken, but I love the shape of this. It's like a little hook thing that I could use to just sever little chords. And I just noticed that as I was sitting here while the theme song was playing. So it's kind of cool looking.
Yeah, when you talk about cutting cords, and incidentally, we will never probably stay on topic ever. So I was actually thinking before we went on, it might be better to do the show and then afterwards, like, what would be the best title for what we just did, because we never seem to stay on point. But when you talk about chords, it's said in the tradition that we are learning from Peru that all the chords inevitably attach to the navel. It might come in somewhere else on the energy field, but it comes into the navel. The reason being is that's the only part of us that is real. Everything else is woven into the illusion. So at some point they all come there. So if you're ever looking for the place to cut a cord, you can always do it right at the Cusco, the navel.
And I was just, I don't know where I read this, but I think it was just yesterday, it popped up on Facebook or something. I don't know. Anyway, they were saying that the navel is the first thing to form during, like when a fetus is forming in the mother's womb. And then everything else kind of forms around that, because that's sort of like our lifeline. We're connected to our mother through the navel. And then also I read that there are, what was it? It's like the most complex like center for like veins or something in the body is right there at the navel as well. There were a few like interesting parallels, but yeah, so amazing that the shamans also figured out the like massive importance of the navel.
Absolutely. And it's a good segue too, just to remind people, if you haven't watched it, go back and watch the Mother's Day episode. We did a ceremony live where we were doing a soul retrieval for being cut from the mother. That's one of the things they do in Peru is like really quickly after a baby's born. Two things. One is a soul retrieval to kind of make them whole again from being cut from the mother, from that place of safety, being out in the real world and having all those experiences. And two, the Cusco energetically is like wide open, and they do something to help that lens close so they're not overwhelmed by sensory overload of the world around them. And they say that the Northerners are walking around with leaking navels because we, of course, never had that when we were little. Just kind of throwing us out to the real world. And hello, Michelle. Thank you for joining us. We're pleased to have you there.
That's,
yeah.
She's yeah. Oh, I when I was teaching the shamanic meditation classes originally, when they were in person, they were at Michelle's Center of Healing Therapy.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Oh, Michelle, thank you for giving Casey a place to do his shtick. That's awesome. Leaking gut. Yeah. So, like, especially if you think about how many empaths are out in the world today and how they are on sensory overload, what if the reason that is because there was never a teaching of how to regulate the energy coming into or out of the field? So that is definitely with one of the things with empaths in that navel that could be a little tricky. But we have in this tradition, like that's just one of the eyes. That's like the Cusco is one eye. That's how you bring in and kind of sense everything. But you also have one at the heart, which they call the sun Nawi, which is the place of Munai, which is another energetic field. You have them at the throat. You have one at the tailbone. There's 5 main ones, and then there's some sub ones too. So that could be a whole nother topic in and of itself.
Well, yeah.
But we don't have to stay on topic.
No, I was going to say, I've noticed we have the tendency to do that sometimes, where we'll go, oh, well, that could be another episode, and then it never becomes another episode. So we should just talk about them in the moment when they arise.
Okay, so we'll talk about them in the moment. So the 5 main Nawis, one is at the tailbone, which would be a black energy, and that would be for Mother Water, which would be Mama Unu in this tradition. And then at the navel would be a red energy connecting to Pachamama, which is Mother Earth. The heart would be Inti Taita, Father Sun, and it would be a gold energy. And then into the throat, you have two energies coming in. One is Mama Kia, which is Mother Moon, and the other is Waira, which is Father Wind. So, and that is silver for the moon and blue for the wind. And those are the five of actually 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the fifth one is above, which is the for Wiracocha, the creator energy, the creator creatrix. In this tradition,
the third eye when we have the Kintu up?
Those are a little bit of a subset, but that is like the three eyes. This one, and your third eye would make up one. So there's like little sub eyes, and one is like the outer vision, and one is more the inner vision. But that's considered like one eye in the tradition, and that would be the place of Yachai, the combination of like intellect and will, was not will, intellect and wisdom. They call that Yachai.
Okay. Oh, so I was kidding. So the three centers we do with the. I know we're kidding.
So there's 5 energy centers, and then there's like 3, kind of like if you want to think of it like body, mind, spirit in a sense. You have Lankai, which is like the industrialness of the physical body, the Waldo that the being is using to have this experience. You have Munai, which is a combination of will and love. And there's not really a good translation for it, but it's like it's really your declaration of will into the universe. It's not a space of requesting, like saying, "Please, may I have this?" It's this is my will that I put it projecting into the universe, and then the universe's job is to actualize that for you. And then you have Yachai, which is the wisdom and the intellect part of all that.
And what I was referring to with the Kintu, it's really cool. I think we should guide everyone through that exercise. One of the, you know what? Well, again, why don't we do it now? Can we guide people through how to do a Kintu? We could do it here, and then people can find their leaves on their own.
We absolutely could. We absolutely could. I was just looking for a little picture of Zane real quick. Oh, I know where it is. Just to illustrate this Munai, Yachai, and Lankai, I have something that Zane gave me at one point that I can put up here from when he was on doing one of his classes. So this is just a little diamond. And now these diamonds are not representative of how the energy actually, because think of it as 3-dimensional and they would overlap a bit more, but it just kind of shows like energy center wise the 3 main centers. And if you want to think of it, and this is not part of the teachings, but something that just occurred to me, if you think of the human being like a prism, right? And you have this unrefined light energy that's coming in, and then it's separating out, you have the 7 rays or whatnot. These 3 might represent the 3 rays of the primary colors, and then from that you would have subsets of how those break down further. And the whole idea behind what we're doing is we're refining our inner light, that we can take all those and focus it to manifest divinity on the physical plane. So I'm kind of seeing some parallels to the esoteric teachings from Alice Bailey in it now. I could write a whole thing on that. Wow, cool. I see, if we hadn't gone down that rabbit hole, I wouldn't have had that awareness. That's another way to look at this, which is really cool. All right, but we can definitely walk through that Kintu. Are you getting leaves? Is that what you
have? Leaves, yeah.
Oh, do I need to get leaves? Oh, I have these. These are from a money tree, or I think they're called money tree. So what better for abundance? But traditionally, for doing this, you would use coca leaf in Peru. Of course, that's kind of illegal here. So you can use bay leaf, which is a really good substitute. Or if you're out in nature, especially if you're doing this to connect with the spirit of the land, find 3 leaves that are local to the place that you're at. Just watch out for poison ivy, poison oak. You know, leaves the 3, leave them be. or unless you know what they are. And if you're going to burn it, make sure you do it outside. But just in case, in the off chance that you're using a leaf that might be toxic, like I think rhododendron might have a toxicity if you burn it, it's good to burn them outside if you were going to burn them. So we'll just say that too. But you get your 3 leaves. The reason that we use...
And just to put a little context, so these are like an offering that we make, but it's also a way to prepare ourselves to do sacred work or sacred play, as we like to say. Yeah, well, maybe we touch on that a little bit, give a little context around why we do the Kintu.
Yeah, so the idea is, well, we use 3 leaves, 1 for the lower, middle, and upper world. And going through the process, we're basically going through a centering exercise where we're allowing each one of the 3 centers we just spoke about to come into resonance with the 3 worlds. And then you go through a process where you introduce yourself to the leaves. You, in Quechua, we would say no keni, which means I am, or my name is, your full name. Ayu Apu Kunamanta, which means this is the place I am from, and then the place you were born. So essentially you're saying, I'm William Henry Siddala from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. But energetically, more than that, you are basically saying the nature spirits that hold the blueprint for the perfect me. My Pakarina Ito Apu, they are here. So you're connecting, you're making what we call a CK line from your place of emergence to the place you are now that carries with it the blueprint, the vibration of who you had the potential in becoming. So it's a really powerful exercise to introduce yourself to the nature spirits. Cool.
Yep. Oh yeah. So for everyone following along, if you happen to have 3 leaves handy, that's great. If not, you can go back and watch this video on the replay. And like you said, if you have bay leaves, I think a lot of people have bay leaves in their house. That's beautiful to do this with. Or like if you're on your next hike or whatever, out in nature, enjoying some quality time with the nature spirits, just grab 3 leaves that kind of call out to you. And again, the way that our teacher put it is that it's beautiful to use the although traditionally it's done with like coca leaf, and then like a lot of times we use bay leaf as a substitute. It's really awesome to use the leaves like native to that area. So if you pick 3 leaves off a tree or a plant on the ground or whatever, making sure they're not poisonous, that the nature spirits are already familiar. All the spirits that are familiar with the energy of that plant. So it's beautiful to use that.
Yeah, there was even a time during the last apprenticeship, we had gone to a place and we had our KINTU, and we went through this whole process and we put them into the water and they were going downstream, and I just didn't feel the connection that I'm used to feeling. And then I was guided to go get 3 more leaves that are from here, not ones that you brought with you. I'm like, oh, okay. And so then I did it a second time, and there was a much deeper connection, just to give an experiential component to what Casey just said. It's really great to use the leaves that are native to the land, or do both. I mean, you can, there's some offerings that you do where you would do 12 sets of these, each one connecting with a very specific energy from a mountain or from a feminine spirit, like the Grand Canyon or Niagara Falls. So there's nothing to say that you can't do more than one of these for different offerings. But anyway, so what you'll do is take your 3 leaves and you're going to be putting them right by around the navel here. And you're going to just allow yourself to center your physical body to center with the Uhu Pacha, the underworld, and with Pachamama, our Mother Earth, and Mama Unu, Mother Water. Iari, Lankai, Ompui, 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 Hahaya, Pachamama, Ompui, 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 Iari, Uhupacha, Ompui, Ompui, Ompui. And if you are a color person, you can also just allow the black energy from the waters to flow in through the tailbone, and the red energy from Pachamama to flow in through the navel. And when you feel complete with that, you would raise these up to the heart area, allowing the Munai, the combination of your will and love, and your Hatan Subaksunko, your great and beautiful heart, to come into resonance with the Kaipacha, the middle world. Iari inti taita ompui 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 hahaya Kaipacha ompui ompui ompui. Iari Munai ompui ompui ompui. And Iari means victory and praises. And then the name of the spirit we're calling in, Ompui Ompui Ompui, means bring your healing here, or heal what our soul's already healed. And then raising it to the 3rd eye area, you would allow this center, your Yatchai, to come into resonance with the upper world, the Hanakapacha. Ahaya Hanakapacha, Ompui Ompui Ompui, Iari. Yachai ompui 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 hahaya cheska kuna ompui ompui ompui. Yari hatan uma ompui ompui ompui. That's the one I was looking for. Hatan uma, our higher selves, or our blueprint, if you will. And then bringing these down to the lips, you would repeat after me. Nokani, and then your full name.
Casey.
So Nokani William Henry Sutala. Then you would say Ayu, Apu, Kunamanta, and the place you were born, city and state, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And then with the sacred high wall, just a baby's breath, you are breathing the highest vibration of who you can be in this moment into the leaves. If you're angry right now, you breathe the highest vibration of angry you can be. The thing here is to be authentic with who you are in this moment, and just breathe that energetically into the leaves. And then you'll do a breath. We call this a pakui, with the intention to call in all the feminine nature spirits. You'll raise your left elbow as you do the breath and turn to the side. It would look like this. And to the right, calling in all the masculine spirits. Aya, apukuna, ompui, ompui, ompui. And then you take the leaves again, put them back down towards the navel, this time coming into contact with your muhu koya. It's your seat of divine potential. It is the source where the energy comes into you and animates this physical body. And allowing that to swirl up, you want to visualize and allow this rainbow energy, all the different possibilities of creation to flow up through your body. You go up above your head. And the idea that here is that you're flowering, you're providing your nectar to draw the sawi kinti, the royal hummingbird in this tradition, to you, which is our connection to Wiracocha, which is a story we can tell in a moment. And connecting into Wiracocha, that creator energy, you tap into that energy, and just like a column of light, you pull it down towards your lips again. And then energetically, not with words, energetically, you allow yourself to be the vibration of all the things you would like to actualize in your life. What would it feel like if all the things you were looking to have in your life were here right now? What does that feel like? Allow your whole aura to crackle with it, and then doing another high while you breathe that into the leaves. And that is a basic Kintu offering, which of course you can get a lot more elaborate on, but that is the basic one.
And I always feel so wonderful after I do that. So centered and grounded and calm and peaceful. I think I'm gonna put this one under my mesa because we had another Kintu under. Oh, but you know what? I had an idea as I was doing that. The thought popped into my head. The way Zane has been teaching us, and I think it was because there are a lot of people that haven't been a part of the apprenticeship. He gave, I think, more of an how to put it, like almost like more of a kinesthetic or feeling, like direct experiential way of doing it. So I kind of wanted to do maybe a quick little version of that,
Sure.
As well. So you would kind of do this very similar to what Zane just did, but for people having trouble. Hey, you should take that as a big compliment, Hank. But very similar to what Hank just did. Well, I guess we won't have to go through the whole thing since we just did it. But at the navel, what he had us do was connect to sort of the feeling of like 0 point or oneness, or just like source or God or whatever you imagine that as being like, and have the leaves come into resonance with that and hold the vibration of it. And then he had us tilting the leaves a little bit downward at the navel when we did that, then tilt them up and have them at the navel. And then you imagine or intend that you are drinking that energy into the navel. And when you feel a wave of physical relaxation happen in response to doing that, send that wave of physical relaxation down your arms and into the leaves, knowing that they'll hold that vibration for you. And then once you felt that, you bring them up to the heart. And then same thing, drinking the combined energies of that 0 point and the physical relaxation of the body. And once you feel an expansion of your emotions, then as soon as you feel that expansion, offer that down your arms and into the leaves. And then those combined energies you bring up to the third eye area, drink in all of those energies. And when you feel a clearing of your mind, it doesn't have to be that all your thoughts stop or anything, but just that more of a clarity comes in to the mind. Then you offer that down the arms and into the leaves. And then everything else is pretty similar as far as, the breaths and all that. But that was the big difference, was instead of, for those who aren't like as familiar with the concepts of the lower, middle, and upper world and stuff, maybe helpful to have more of a feeling.
If you're ever walking through it with somebody too, you might find that you do it completely differently for one group versus another, depending what the need is. So that's one thing with the Ultima Salic path, is you do everything from the heart. And the way I do it, of course, is going to be a little different than Zane, and that's the way it ought to be. And from every single situation, like if you ever, well, you've come to my concerts, it's never the same. Depending on the group of people that are there, you could do something completely differently. And you make up a ceremony on the fly to fit the need for the people that you're with. And it's a beautiful thing when that happens. And then it's customized based on whatever is needed. It's really awesome.
My Mesa wants the Kintu. But yeah, no, absolutely. That's the really cool thing, is that with like in shamanism, Paco, nature mysticism, shamanism, they really are about direct individual experience and learning these truths for yourself. So yeah, and it leaves a lot more room for flexibility when introducing other people to the work and work and meet, like you said, meeting people where they're at. I think in a lot of the like major world religions, they're like so stuck with like a particular set of like rules or like guidelines for how they do things that a lot of people get turned off because they're like, okay, well, that's not for me, and that's the way they're always going to do it no matter what. Whereas, like you said, a real, shaman or healer will meet people exactly where they're at in that moment. And I know for some people, like the word God is very different for a lot of different people. Some people are very turned off by that. Some people, they need to hear that in order to associate anything sacred. So, sometimes when I'm talking about, like oneness or source or whatever, I'll use the words like oneness and source. And then other people, I would have to use the word God for them to be able to relate to that. And that's just one of the like many little subtleties or that we can sort of tweak in order to really help the person that we're trying to facilitate healing for or whatever we're doing to connect a little more easily with the work that we're doing.
Yeah, I just had a client last week. When they came, I ended up putting out all these. I don't keep them out all the time, but I have all these little cards that are all these little saint things, like Saint Jude and Mother Teresa and a whole bunch of different saints. And I put those out because I had the feeling, and I knew they have a huge Catholic background, and that put them way more at ease with the work that we were doing than if I had just had everything the mesa as it was. Adding that one little element, putting a crucifix on top of the centerpiece, it just shifted the whole allowance of what we were working on. If I hadn't done that, it would have been like a resistance to it, potentially. I don't know for sure, but I was following my guidance on it.
Yeah, but no, and that just makes this work, I think, even more accessible to so many people. And I don't know. Do I share that? Is that appropriate to share?
Oh, well, now you get tease if you don't share now.
So,
everybody comment, share.
Okay, so here's just kind of an interesting little story. But so when I was first learning, when I was first like starting to learn about what you did and like what Zane teaches and like deciding whether or not I was going to do it, I was talking to someone who has some interesting views on certain things. But I told her, I was like, I'm going to be doing a shamanic apprenticeship, I think. And she's like, I didn't think white people were allowed to be shamans. I was like, what? She went on this whole rant about like cultural appropriation and stuff like that. And then, I later on learning about like Justine talking about like the way that the Keros are, I'm like, man, like, well, you can speak to it a little better, but they're so, I don't know. I don't even know where I'm going with that. Hank, you need to say words.
Well, they used to be like that, the Caro, but they had this prophecy of the eagle and the condor flying together, and there was an earthquake, and they took that as a sign that it was time to start teaching the tradition to the children of the North. And it also was very timely because none of the Caro children wanted to learn it. It's kind of like if you're in it all the time, it doesn't have the same sparkle as if you aren't in it all the time. So their children didn't want to learn it, so they started teaching it to people like Zane and Elizabeth Jenkins and the gentleman who started the Four Winds Society. They started teaching their tradition to the children of the North, and they knew that they would carry that tradition forward. But in other cultures, it's very much like, if you're not a native, potentially they wouldn't teach you, or it would be very one-off circumstances and very reserved for letting that information out. Though it's coming a long way. I think it's starting to make leaps and bounds just from some of my own experiences that maybe it's going to be a little bit more forthcoming with some of that. But you're right. It's like, and plus the word shaman, it's an umbrella term. There's so many traditions that fall up underneath that. So whoever that was, when they heard the word shaman, they're thinking what they think of it, which is probably a northern tradition, not a southern tradition. And the word shaman is actually referring to a tradition from the Siberian region of Russia, which isn't North or South America. So depending, like when you hear the word shaman, everybody immediately goes to a point of view of what they think that means. And then all of a sudden when it's not matching up, they're like, oh, well, that's wrong. No, it's not wrong. It's just different. And that's one of the beautiful things of the Caro. They say the gold is in the differences. It's not what's the same. Don't relate our tradition away. What is different? And that's where the gold and the magic is when you find these little nuances that are different, because that's where you have a new understanding and a new awareness.
Definitely. Yeah. And I know from my personal experience a lot that I had been taught by the spirits about certain methods of moving energy and calling in various spirits and energy and all this stuff as we've been going through the spirit lodges and the apprenticeship. I realized, like, wow, a lot of this is so incredibly similar to what the spirits already taught me, but it is in the things that aren't the same, that I never really thought of in that particular way, that I have really gained so much already in this short period of time. And we really, like Hank says, we've barely even gotten started. But so yeah, definitely, I think finding the similarities between these traditions from so very different regions of the world is beautiful and helps to validate and is just, absolutely incredible. But definitely don't relate away the differences, those new points of view, the things you can gain from I guess just the differences is incredible. So I'll be open to that, definitely.
Right. And one of the examples I remember Zane giving is one of the students, when they were learning about the Apus, someone said, "Oh, that's just like our guardian angels." And the Carol got real upset. They're like, "No, our Apu is an Apu and your angel is an angel. They're different." So like, call it what it is type of thing. But they were trying to relate away. Or the same thing happened with the Spanish coming in when they saw the Chumpy stones and they were five instead of 7. They changed it up and they started making 7 stones to correlate to the chakra system instead of Nawis. So if they were to relate away that difference, and chakra means spinning disc, it's like the energy distribution center, where a Nawi is like a lens or an eye, or like a camera lens, if you think about how it opens and closes to let more light in or out. It's a totally different function, and if you start to relate it, you would have lost that. So just food for thought for all those good things. And if you're joining us, if you're on any of the shared things, if you're not on Stir Crazy Shamans or the YouTube channel, we will not see comments. If you do want to make a comment, make sure you head over to the YouTube channel or our Facebook page so we can speak to that if you have any questions or anything else on your mind, because if you haven't been able to tell, we're completely off topic, which is awesome. So if you ask a question off topic, we are certainly willing to go there. Oh, we do have someone saying good morning. Good morning, Shar. Wonderful.
Good morning. And I just heard my phone ding. I have to make sure that's not my mother.
Uh-oh. Gotta make sure. I guess Mom's coming over to Casey's house because he was bad. I'm kidding.
All right. No, we're all good. Oh.
And I just got a message from someone hearing you on site, Crazy Shamans, this morning, but can't see you. I don't know what to say about that. Can everybody else see us? Shar, you're just joining us. Can you see us okay? Maybe it's just a weird fluke with whoever's that device is trying to watch us. Sometimes technology just is very odd. You never know what's going to happen with it. Yep, she sees us. So cool. Well, Mary, I got your message. I don't know what to say about that. Maybe if you go watch on the replay, you'll get to see us. Or if you go to the YouTube channel, it may be there as well, where you can see us. Actually, by my other screen right now, and I see us just fine. So interesting. 5911.
5911.
5911. That's an axis. Like when technology goes awry, like they found. Well, this is where it came from. Gary Douglas, who's the founder of Access, when like homeless people would come up to him and they would ask for change, he energetically gave them change. So he's like 1, 2, 3. Right, and they would be like, "Whoa!" And like they would have like this energy wave go through them, and they would almost stagger away like they were drunk after that. And so they started playing around with numbers, and they found that each number has like different energy and different potency. So when technology is going awry, they find that the combination of 5, 9, 11 does really well. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And you can play with that. Like play with it. Well, don't play with it too much, but those ones you can use for technology because each number has a different little nuance to it.
Yeah, I've only played with the technology one a couple of times, but now I kind of want to go up to people on the street and do 1, 2, 3 at them.
Because I'm pretty sure it was 3. I got to go back and like look at my book, but they have like different ones, and there's some that you only do like you do really sparingly because it's like a lot of change, and you got to give the change that you throw out there a chance to show up before you. Because that's one of the things with creation too. Like we have this amazing potency as creators, and we put something out to the universe, and the universe says, "Great, no problem, I'll bring that to you." And it starts to put everything into motion, and 10 seconds later, you choose something different. And the universe is like, oh, yeah, well, that's not a problem. We'll start doing it. And then 10 seconds later, you choose something different. And then the universe is like, oh, okay. So if nothing else, when you're looking to create for yourself, be consistent with your choices. And the universe has a far easier time when you're consistent with what you're requesting and demanding of it to have it show up for you versus changing your mind every 10 seconds.
So I have to tell the story now. What to call them? Okay, so in doing this work with the Kintus that we do, we use bay leaves as a substitute here in the U.S. And so I wanted bay leaves that weren't just like from a like from the grocery store or something. I wanted bay leaves that were either like picked by someone who, for the purpose of doing this work, or some other special, something along those lines. Anyway, so I connected with someone just over Facebook randomly. I don't know if they showed up in my friend suggested or whatever, or theirs. And they messaged me and were like, do you know this guy? And I'm like, no. And we talked a little bit, and he ended up coming in to see me for a massage. And we really connected. He was awesome, like really into like the shamanic work that I was doing and all that stuff. And I was telling him he was talking about like how he had gone through some rituals and used like tobacco as like a prayer plant. And I was like, I've been looking for like these bay leaves to use as like a prayer plant for our Kintus. But like, I don't just want any bay leaves. I want them, like if I could find them picked by a shaman, that would be amazing. And he's like, oh, I have a bag of those. Do you want them? And I was so for like 2 or 3 weeks before this, I was like, every day I'd look and like try and find somewhere where I could get these, and to no avail. And then this guy just shows up and he's like, yep, I got a bag. You want them? I was like,
wondering how you were going to tell that story. Well done. Oh, that's great.
It's amazing. Like you said, you put like, and that was something that I was putting really out there to the universe,
putting it out,
and it just shows up.
Yeah, and in order to get them the normal way that I know how to get them, it wasn't going to be till probably January, because them picking it and everything was totally disrupted because of the whole COVID thing. So like the soonest I could even probably get them would be January, February of next year. And so the fact that happened was just like mind blowing. And just saying hello, Anna. Oh, the comment didn't show up. Thank you guys for all your beautiful talks. It's been helping me open up to new possibilities. You're welcome. We're so glad that you are here with us.
Oh, yes. There was someone else, one of my friends that like I wasn't expecting to be watching these. Another one. Oh yeah, if you're watching, Mike Beard, make a comment one of these times. Ask us what you want to hear us talk about. My friend Mike Beard is I've been friends with him since like high school, but he messaged me the other day and he said he's been catching the shows and really enjoying them. So it's amazing how many people I have no idea that are watching, or like wouldn't expect to be that are, and it's just so cool that we're reaching all these.
It is. I was in line at the grocery store the other day, and someone like was walking like to get in the end of the line, was walking by, goes, "Hey, stir crazy," and I'm like, did he just recognize me? That's kind of fun. Either that or he was stir crazy, or saying we were all stir crazy, but I have a feeling he was referencing the show.
That's so amazing.
It is fun. It's like a little celebrity moment. Woohoo. Cool. So where do we go now? I also know you have to think about your mom getting there today.
I know. I actually just got another text. I'm just going to bring the phone over here so I don't have to keep standing up.
Yeah, it makes more sense.
It was charging, so
and also, if you're watching this either now or on the replay, obviously we're not talking about the title today. So we're going to be changing the thumbnail and the title. So if you have a vote of what would be a good title for what today's show was, put it in the comments on YouTube, and we'll see what we might make the title of the show to be.
My mother says she's ready to come over, so we probably go on for another 5-10 minutes.
5-10 minutes. Any questions out there? Anything you want us to direct our final 5 to 10 minutes together to?
Well, this was already a really fun one, though. I mean, I don't know. For me, the Kintu is such a beautiful practice, and I have the feeling there's so much more to it than my logical brain recognizes. And like spiritually, I can feel what's going on, but it is just I don't know. It's so powerful, and I led. I was on a. Oh, go ahead. You had something.
No, I was just going to say we've done KINTU version 1.0. There's a whole separate thing when you're building the packet under the mesa. We'll do that on camera one day. That's what we'll do out in nature once. Now that we hit, by the way, thank you everyone for subscribing. We're at 104 now, so we can officially go live from our mobile devices.
Yes.
So our plan is to go on these nature hikes and things, and using my iPad, we'll set up a little thing and be able to go live and do like ceremony in the woods and like be able to broadcast it. And one of the things we can do is show how you do and build this packet, which is really the story of creation. And then with the leaves, in addition to that, you're adding a kernel of corn, you're adding a little bit of fat, traditionally llama fat, but you can use olive oil and things like that, a flower petal, and then dipping that into a wine and some other things. And it's just this beautiful process of how to really set and make a waka, which is like an eye, a portal to the upper world, by doing this process. So we'll show that one time out in nature, and that will be fun.
Oh, so interesting. Well, I'm going to tell a couple things. The first was I was going to say about the KINTU. I was on a hike with my cousin who I hadn't seen in a while, and this was just yesterday. And
the swamp walk.
Yeah, the swamp walk. It was very much a swamp walk. There were certain parts of the trail that I normally walk on. I've seen little tiny puddles if it rained a lot, but I mean, there were like rivers flowing through the normal trail. It was pretty wild.
Originally, I was sad I couldn't go, but then after I heard that, I was kind of happy I didn't go.
Well, my feet the socks were just soaked with mud, so it was, but it was great. It was wonderful. Anyway, so we were at this one point, and I saw this plant with these leaves that were like the perfect shape for a KINTU. And I was like, ooh, so I picked them, and then we were walking along and I found this spot and I thought about it and I was like, do you guys want, it was him and his girlfriend. I was like, do you guys want to join in and do the KINTU as well? And so they were like, yeah, sure. So they tried it and just guided them through it. And his girlfriend had never done anything like that before. I was like, I don't know if I asked her what she thought or if she just said, but she was like, I just feel so relaxed right now. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing, you know, how even someone like that with no real prior context or anything can just really connect and feel that like deep peace that comes along with doing this kind of simple ceremony. So that was a really special moment for me.
It's easier sometimes, I think, for people who have no prior context to have an experience. It could go, I guess, either way, but my experience more times than not is that when it's so far out of left field, they have a much deeper experience than if they've had the work before, because now they might have a point of comparison and then have a judgment or expectation about how you're doing what you're doing, where if you haven't, there's a clean slate. There's no prior judgment or anything that can get in the way of possibility.
And then the other thing I was going to say, I know you've mentioned, and I've seen in videos where they kind of like whip wine around to do offerings and stuff like that. So I didn't even make that connection until you were just talking about like dipping the flowers in the wine. But I was sitting here the other night and I was talking to my angel guides, who I'm like very, very, very close with, have been since way before I came to Earth. And I was talking to them and, you know, they were doing some healing work for me. And I was like, you know what? I've been learning about this Aini thing. Like, what can I do for you guys? Like, is there anything you guys want? And they told me, they're like, you don't have to do anything. I was like, yeah, I know, but I want to like make some kind of offering, or like, what can I do? And so the one guy was like, you could leave some wine out for us. I was like, really? Angels want wine? And they're like, yeah, why not? And
some of my guides like rum. I'm been sober for over 12 years, but I go to the liquor store, I'm buying rum, and I just have it there and I offer it every night on my altar.
But I was like, all right, if that's what you guys want, I'll get it. But I was like, is there anything else though? Because like, you know, I don't know if I'm going to run out to the store and grab like a bottle of. Anyway, I was asking if there was anything else I could also get, and then it was funny because they all went around, and the one guide was like, she's like, oh, I love lavender and roses. It's just like, if you get some like lavender and rose, that would be awesome. And I'm like, oh, you've got it. I'm gonna get it for you. And then it was funny. So I went around and they all like were asking for different things. And this one guide, the angel guide, he has these like knives or like dagger type things that he like manipulates energetically to do all this like incredible stuff. And like he like cuts cords with them and does all like this really intricate work with them. And so it got to him and he was sitting there like he always is. He's just kind of like playing with them. And I was like, oh, he's going to want some kind of like cool fancy knife or something. I was like, for sure, that's what he's going to want. And he's like, I like blueberries. I was like, Oh, well, I wasn't expecting that, but you've got blueberries, man.
Yeah, sometimes I'll make like a thing of coffee and I'll put it out on the altar. And but if you're in tune with your guides, or if you have an ancestor altar, you can offer like food for what they would have liked in their while they were living. And then after you have it on the altar for a little bit, like maybe you put it there in the morning. By the time you come in the evening, you take that outside and you offer it to the animals. So it's not like you're using it and then throwing it away. And the wine that you're talking about, when they flick the wine, normally you would have like wine in a little container, and usually you have like red wine and white wine and carnation, red and white carnation. And as you build like gazpachos, you would take the carnation and dunk it in the wine and kind of flick it on the different things that you're putting in as a little offering to the little kintus and to the different things that represent masculine and feminine energies. And then at the end, of course, you have the wine and you kind of just throw it up into the upper world to offer it there. So at the end, like the little containers that you have that gets whipped up, not the container, but you stop and the wine goes. The first time I ever did that, I threw my cup too, and Zane was like making fun of me for it. but that's what the wine would have been used for. And they used to use you'll be happy being that you're vegan that they use wine now. It used to be like llama blood that they would use, and they substituted wine after the Catholic influence with communion or whatnot.
Well, I'm happy for that.
I know. Well, and usually it wasn't that they would kill the llama. They just have a lot of stillborn children and things like that. And so oftentimes like the stillborn llama is offered in like a big dispatch to Mother Earth and things like that. So they still honor it. So it's not like they're going out killing the animal for the blood or anything like that. Oftentimes when an animal is sacrificed in that tradition, it's not for the purpose of killing an animal. It's like it was going to happen anyway, whether they needed to feed the community or if it was like a stillborn or something like that. But it's like still honoring it and making it part of that divine reciprocity process. By offering it as a gazpacho to the earth, you're creating fertile soil that your crops are going to grow better. So it's all this aini that is still occurring, that they have found ways to bring that into balance when things like that happen.
But I did find that was interesting, and about like the one guide was like, yeah, wine would be good, but it brought up an interesting thing because I saw on Facebook someone had made a post saying alcohol. The word comes from some like Arabic word alkohol, meaning like soul-eating spirit or something, and how like the fastest way to lower your vibration is to drink alcohol, and just spinning it as like being this like almost like demonic thing that you should never touch in any circumstance. And while I agree that alcohol, how to put it, I like you said, in this tradition that we're learning, we don't see anything as bad or good, right? Things just are as they are. And while I don't think it's a good idea for anyone to be like abusively like using alcohol in large quantities, I still think there are like certain places where for some people it may be appropriate or even beneficial in the moment to use that substance.
I mean, if you're doing it to enhance consciousness, then you're probably okay. In my case, I was a professional drinker for many years, and I was doing it to make my awareness go away, or at least a perception of it going away, which did not work, because when you have that, you're wide open to all these influences, but you have no consciousness around it, and it's kind of like a energetic free-for-all getting pummeled. But if you were like having wine to connect with the spirit or something like that, like I personally would probably not do it unless I was really getting some clear guidance, because being in recovery, I would be like, do I really need to do that with you, spirit? I don't think so. Like, that's not a requirement. But then again, when I was in Florida for Thanksgiving one year, I had this bourbon pie at the end. Man, it was like eating a shot, and I didn't like relapse or anything like that. So it's like because I wasn't doing it as an escape. They say in AA that it's your ability to stay sober is contingent upon your spiritual fitness. If you're spiritually fit, you will not relapse. But if you are not spiritually fit, you've already relapsed. You're just heading towards that drink and starting to medicate again, because you cut off your awareness from source. That's where it is when you're disconnected. That's where the slippery slope is, because you're trying to be separate from all that is and pretend that you're not one, and it doesn't work that way. Pretend all you want, you're still one with all.
But then, so it was interesting when I read that. I read an article though that was talking very much in the opposite direction. They were saying that there has been a history of use of alcoholic beverages to like connect with the various spiritual beings throughout a lot of cultures. And then this woman was a shaman who had a friend that was talking to them about how I think they were just noticed how like the energy of when And this friend was spiritual, but I don't think was like really like focused on any kind of like healing or medicine path or anything. But they were like telling them, oh, I noticed there's like always a difference between like if I drink wine or like if I drink like this other like alcohol, like the way that it makes me feel and all that. So she was curious and she journeyed to meet the spirit of wine. And she described the whole. This is a cool article. I wish I could.
No, and I don't look at it as opposite. They're talking about using it with the intention of connecting and being more conscious. So it's all like your intention is setting the tone for everything. And I was intending to zone out. And
but it was so she was talking about how she met with the spirit of wine, and that the spirit of wine explained explained that how like the different forms of alcohol have different vibrational frequencies, and that alcohols that are made from plants that grow on vines, be it like grape or I don't know what other plants that grow vines they would make alcohol out of, but that they are like of the highest vibration of the alcohols. And that this, if you can find it, look up like shamanic view of wine or something on Google. But it was a really cool journey and connection she had with that spirit, and it just got me thinking, because I have also in the past, definitely used alcohol to suppress my spiritual abilities. And so there have been long periods of time where I was like, oh, well, never touching that. It's just bad. It's all horrible. But there have since been times when...
Was it from Sarah Finley?
I don't know. I don't remember at all.
Yeah. Well, go ahead. I think I found it, but I will post it here in a second. I'm just kind of looking through.
But so I don't know. It just got me thinking about that when my guides asked for wine. I was like, huh, interesting. So I brought that back up, and I was kind of contemplating that a little bit. But it is it's interesting for sure.
Yeah, I found this one. It's from 2016 on Sarah Finley's website. So I just posted that. And as I was going through the other tab, I do know what Mary was talking about now. On all the pages where this was being cross-posted, it is audio only, and the video is not displaying for some reason. So if you are just listening to us, if you go to Stir Crazy Shamans, the video is working just fine. It's only if you were looking at Sonic Shaman, Shaman's Way, Holistic Health and Healing, any of those would not be displaying video for some reason. Weird technology. Oh,
you're saying
she was in my country. What's that? Sorry, I didn't hear you, Casey.
So you were saying on Shaman's Way, like for example, it wouldn't be playing video.
I was in the creator studio for Facebook, because the way that we do this is we stream to some places directly, and then when I go, is it there?
Oh. Yeah, I was going to say, I'm on Shaman's Way on Facebook, and the video is there.
Yeah, well, in the creator studio, it was black, and it said there's trouble displaying the video. So there might have been intermittent issues, possibly. I'm not sure. But anyway, if you are watching this or listening to this on a replay or whatnot from one of the pages, and it's black at any time, go ahead and go to Stir Crazy Shamans or the YouTube channel. There shouldn't have been any problems there. It looks like it may have just been the cross-posting pages.
So Anna, I noticed that all good here since I live in wine country. Now, here's what I'm going to say about that. Now, and here's been my experience, right? With any plant medicine, because alcohol in a way is a plant medicine. But if you're just unconsciously using something to feel different, that's a much different experience than if you were to sit and you see people doing it with other plant medicines, but like with alcohol, the same thing. I've done it since then, where I decide to sit down and my body is like, all right, might be a good experience to have a beer right now. So sometimes I'll call in all the individual spirits of if I know, I'll call in the spirit of hops, very powerful plant medicine on its own. So I'll call in that spirit, the spirit of the barley that was used to make it, and the spirit of the alcohol. And then I'll actually call in Father Rain to come and purify any of the heavy energies that might have been in there from whoever interacted with it or however it was made. Clear that out, fill it up with Sami, the sweet light energy, and then come into resonance with it, and then sort of breathe like that whatever you call it, the baby's breath.
Iowa.
Iowa. I knew it. I knew the word for it. But I'll like infuse my intent into it, and then sometimes I'll even tell it like sort of what its job is. Like, all right, your job right now is to help me to feel peaceful and grounded in this moment so that I can connect in the present and relax and rest in order to find that space where I can whatever, like springboard out and to go even deeper into spirit after I'm done resting or whatever it might be. So working with alcohol in that way is a lot different than just going to the bar and taking a few shots. Much different.
I feel inspired to share too, like in a grandfather's ceremony, which is like a San Pedro ceremony. There's 4 different rounds, and you pass around like a pipe with tobacco and whatnot, and you would take like your tobacco is a prayer plant. It's a plant of intentions, and you don't actually inhale this when you are smoking it. You would just bring it into your mouth, and then you have like a cup of water that you would actually breathe your intentions into the water, and then you would drink the water. So it kind of felt resonant as you're doing everything and telling what its job is. Even with like the tobacco plant and ceremony, you're using it to actualize your dreams, and then you're putting it into the water, and then you're actually internalizing it to help bring it into, similar to how people chew coca. You would put your aspirations into the leaves, and you would give them to the shaman to chew during a hapaikusa ceremony, and then the shaman, by chewing the leaves, it's bringing it internally, and his energy is helping to actualize the things that you're looking to bring to your life. So all just these different ways that plant medicines, whether it's a super addictive one or not, when used in the proper setting with ceremony and things, can really be put your intentions and your aspirations on steroids to actualize in your life.
Let's see, now I want to go into the whole conversation. We're just getting into waters that are really fascinating for me. Well, they all are, but this especially.
Tell your mom to take her time getting there.
Oh, she is buzzing at the door, so I'm gonna have to right this second. So maybe you can talk and like wrap up, but I have to.
Oh, okay. Oh, bye, Casey. Well, everyone, thank you for joining us. We'll probably do a whole nother thing. It sounds like the topic of addictions and plant medicines might be a really good one for us to start with at some point. But I will give just a minute or two if there's any other questions that you have today about what we've talked about so far. Granted, Casey, you can't be with us right now because mom is important. Got to have your priorities straight. But you can go ahead and comment, and I'm happy to speak to it here for the just next minute or so. Let's see. For those of you who are watching this, every month I do a ceremony and sound concert. We are doing it virtually now. We're going to have it in person at the center, and we are going to stream it. So if you're interested in that, you can go to holistichealthandhealing.net and go under Sonic Shaman Concert, and you can see about that. If this is on a replay, we do it typically on the 4th Friday of every month. So if you're too late for this month's, then check out the schedule. And Casey's going to be joining me, and we're going to be doing all kinds of fun things there. He does like a lot of throat singing, which sounds like a didgeridoo, but he just does it with his voice. And then this is kind of our trial run of doing it virtually. We got a special microphone that should be really good at picking up all the different crystal balls and things that I use. Actually, I think I can show a picture of that. I have a picture of my setup, so if you kind of want to see what it looks like.
Okay, she said I could come. She's here, but I'm gonna wrap up with us.
Okay, well, I was just giving a couple minutes for questions, and I was talking about the Sonic Shaman concert that's coming up, and I was about to show a picture of one of the past setups. And Casey's going to be there. Yes. He may be a regular addition, as long I know sometimes it's a little bit close to his bedtime with how late we do him, but he's going to be joining us. Come on, picture. I'm waiting for it to just upload here. But that's. Do you have any events coming up, Casey? Oh, here's the picture. So this is a really small spread compared to what I normally do. But I have a mesa set up in the front, though. I normally will have a bigger spread that will look more like this. That's set up now, like a 4-way spread. But I put the crystal balls all throughout the room, and we're only going to let 6 people be there in person this time around because of the space concerns and 6-foot distancing. But online there is no limit. So if you're interested in that, holistichealthandhealing.net. And Casey will be there doing light language, throat singing, or whatever he's inspired to do.
And possibly some Didge as well.
Oh yes, because I have like dishes. We were like having a little dueling dish at the office the other day, which was fun.
Oh, the energy got real powerful.
Yeah, Casey found that he shouldn't mix ghost pepper. Well, he shouldn't. That's a judgment, but being mindful if he's going to mix eating ghost pepper stuff along with playing the dish because it really amps up the vibration. They almost floated away.
I did. I practically was. But no, as far as things coming up, I would say stay tuned here. I mean, I this week I haven't been doing lately the INI spirit guide readings, but I have a feeling a couple of those are going to happen this week. And then we have some things in the works. Me and Hank are going to be talking a little bit more about, I think possibly a cacao ceremony coming up. That's more like when we're able to do more in-person things, and we'll have to kind of see where the COVID-19 thing takes us.
Yeah, there's a lot of anxiety around it, but this is all to slow it, not to stop it. So
Right.
it will never be gone. It's there somewhere out in the world. So like,
but yeah, but tune on in and subscribe to Shaman's Way on YouTube, and it could be later today. I do one of the little INI spirit guide readings, so check that out.
Yeah, let me get the Shaman's Way link real quick, because I don't think I have it set here. Shaman's Way. Cool. Do you know when you might be going on, or you're not sure?
No.
No.
That's why you got to subscribe and turn on the notifications, so you know.
Well, I was more thinking because if I know that I'm free, that I would like hop on. But I try to catch him in the background. I'm all sneaky in the back. Sometimes I'm dancing in the studio, and Casey's laughing, and people are like, "What's he laughing at?" And it's me.
I just tell him there's some really crazy spirits dancing around in the background.
But here is the link for Shaman's Way if you want to subscribe to Shaman's Way. And then he always streams to different places. So the only place that you know for sure you'll catch it is if you are catching it on his Facebook or the YouTube. And YouTube is preferred because the more people YouTube sees watching our videos, the more it feels that it's relevant and the more it will serve it to other people. So whenever you're watching one of our videos, if you could give a thumbs up, make a comment, anything like that, share it to social media. That's all going to help, because if they see all those traffic sources come in, like already I'm amazed at how much in just a month we're getting served up pretty well. A lot of our traffic now, not a lot, it's like 23% of all the views are coming from YouTube suggesting it because they find it to be relevant. So that is pretty cool for somebody that's just been doing it for over a month.
Oh yeah, no, it's been amazing.
So awesome stuff. All right. No, you got your mom, so we shall let Casey go and be mindful with that. We'll play the fun ending one because it just I feel so energized ending on this note. So everyone, will see you hopefully tomorrow, right?
Thank you. Yes, tomorrow.
Nike.
Probably haven't.